Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our class. We are going to begin in a few seconds. I want to, welcome your class, and I want to start with a review of what we were doing last class. Last class, we were talking about sense verbs and how we use them in English, right? How they are used to describe and compare. Today, we will continue with that particular topic as well. And, remember that we were working on the English ID book. We were focusing on the lesson 1.2. So to start with, I want to refresh your memory, as I said, with a sensory verb or sense verb as they are known. I'm going to start sharing screen in just a second for you to see the grammatical structure and review it. Here, hopefully you're going to be able to see my screen, and we have sense verbs. We have in English, and this is something, as I said, we started to talk about last class, that these verbs describe the senses, right? The 5 senses, and they are also known as sensory verbs, right? And we were talking last class that we have sight, touch, smell, hear, right? And those are some of the ones of the verbs that we have. But what are they and how do we use them? So English sense verbs are also known as sensory verbs. They are special verbs used with each of the 5 senses. Here you can see a list of the verbs that matched with that particular sense. So we have sight, to see, right? That's what the verb that we use to describe that sense. Then we have hearing, to hear, taste, to taste, touch, to touch, and smell, to smell. So those are the 5 most common ones, or the ones that specifically describe the sense. Then there are more, as we were studying last class. We have watch, also, right? We have listen to, and we have hear. Remember how we were talking about that? If you say to someone that you don't listen to them, it's most likely you're saying that you're not willing to listen to what they're saying. But if you use the verb hear, then specifically you're saying that it's not because you don't want to hear them or listen to them, it's because there's some sort of problem with your sense, right? Then when we talk about the senses, this is in context, these are the possible contexts that you're going to find them. And here I have a few sentences with those particular verbs, right? The sense verb. I see a blackbird outside my window. I hear loud music from my neighbor's house every Friday night. Can you taste chili in the sauce? He hurt his fingers badly and didn't want me to touch it. And then we have, she smelled smoke and knew the house was burning. You have each of the sentences talks about a sense using one of the sensory verbs. In the first one, you have I see. In the second one, you have hear. In the third, taste. In the fourth, you have heard, which has to do with the sense of touch. And then you have on the last one, smell, right? That has to do with the sense of a smell. Then now we move on to the next. So questions so far. Again, this is something that we talked about last class, and we were working on exercises about the five senses, but I wanted to take time to review the grammatical structure. Then we have how we use them in English. So the sensory verb or the sense verb, we can combine them with adjectives to express personal preferences, beliefs, feelings, right? And you have three examples on a sensory verb or sense verbs to express these three things, either a personal preference, a belief, or a feeling. I look older than I am. Her white sauce tastes fantastic. And the last one, his new sweater feels soft against the skin. So the three sentences, you're using a sensory verb or a sense verb, and you're expressing either a feel, a feeling, a belief, or a preference, right? So this is one of the first uses of sensory verb, right? They express, remember, personal preference, beliefs, or feelings. Then we have the second, we can also use them to express similarity between two or more objects. And this is something that the exercise from the books were focusing on, most likely a similarity between two objects. And the examples that you have for this particular use are also three. You have John looks like my old boyfriend. That cake tastes like one of my grandma used to bake, and it feels cold here just as it did in Alaska. In the three sentences, there's a comparison being done, right? There's a similarity between one thing and the other, either an object or a situation or a person, right? Being compared or describing a similarity, right? John, it has a similarity to an old boyfriend. The cake in the second one has a similarity to the grandma's cake, and the cold is it has a similarity to the weather in Alaska. So in the three, there's a comparison being done, and there's a similarity being referenced to. Questions so far or doubts? Okay. Now, in this particular exercise, it's different from the exercises that we had on the book on last class. So in here, you have a little bit of a passage from a story. And in this 4-line, 3.5-line passage, I want you to try to identify as many sensory verbs as you can. This one is an extract from a New Zealand writer. Her name is Catherine Mansfield, and the story is The Garden Party. And how many sensory verbs can you find? You have only the tall fellow was left. He bent down, pinched a sprig of lavender, put his tongue and forefinger to his nose and smell it. When Laura saw that gesture, she forgot all about the Caracas in her wonder at him caring for things like that, caring for the smell of lavender. So, can you tell me how many sensory verbs in these 4 lines can you find?
I think only two, smelled and saw, but I don't know.
Yeah, very good. You have towards almost, well, at the end of this passage or this particular extract, you have a smell of lavender. And then you have also a smell in the second line, right? But you also have when Laura saw that gesture, she forgot all about it. So you have another one, which is also right? So, any other that it's probably there, but you haven't identified? No? Okay, so yes, there are 3 references to sensory verbs. You have 2 of them on the second line and 1 in the end. So, as I said last class, most of the sensory verbs, you're going to find them in books, magazines, or when people are speaking, when they are making a description of something. Writers use sensory verbs a lot because with sensory verbs, they are expressing feelings, they are expressing emotions, they are expressing some type of situation. And these sensory verbs, what they do is that they give more details to the story, either that you're telling in a written way or when you're speaking. So do we have any questions or any doubts? Questions or doubts? No? Okay, so now I want everybody, we are going to be working on an exercise from the book. I would like everybody to go to the workbook on page 5. What's your favorite item of clothing? Exercise. I'm going to start sharing with you in a moment as well with the book. Let me know, please, if are you able to see the book on my screen? Let me know. Can you see my screen, guys?
Yes, teacher.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you, thank you. Let me know if it freezes, but on page 5 of the workbook, you have several exercises in which you have a listening. We are going to be working on the first 3 exercises for this particular class. Since they are listening, I'm going to play them twice, each of the recordings, and then towards the end of the second, or at the end of the second listening, we are going to be sharing answers, right? So whatever information you can gather on the 2 times that you listen to the audio, that's what we are going to be checking. Please let me know if you can hear the audio. So in the first exercise, you're going to be listening to interviews, and you have to identify who works from home, okay? So that's what the first exercise is about, listening to 5 interviews. Then you have to identify who works from home. Are you ready? Is everyone ready? Okay, let's begin.
Audio 1.3. 1.
Hi, I'm Danny. I work in a nursing home. I'm a nurse here and take care of the residents. I prefer working in the day, but sometimes I have to work at nights. And then I go home to sleep all day. That just makes me feel so tired. But it's not a bad job, though. I mean, my colleagues are real fun to work with. Yeah, they're crazy. Like me, I guess.
2.
When my son got married, at last, and he finally didn't need his bedroom anymore, I moved my desk and computer in there. And now it's great, and that is where I work. And it saves money, too, because now I don't need to pay for office space in the city. Yippee! The problem is that now I have all his comics in a box, and they take up a lot of space. A lot. I ask and ask, but he just won't let me put them in the garbage. Children.
3.
Yeah, it's true that I don't have to commute anymore, thankfully, and am free to choose when I work, during the day or at night, and whenever I want to. And that's great, but it's also part of the problem. You see, I have a 3-year-old, and he is just so cute. Love him. But what a distraction. But I don't like sending him to his grandmother all the time. But then, if I don't, I can't work. It's like almost the same as when I worked in an office. I think you call it the circle of life or something.
4.
When I come home, I just want to relax. Some of my friends work from home and they have almost no free time. They live in their offices, so they are always at work. You know, I just feel...
5. It's great. I don't have the distractions of the office. You know, no more long, boring meetings or the gossip at the coffee machine, all that yak, yak, yak. So I'm more productive now. Sometimes it is difficult to communicate, like when I send an email and nobody replies for days, but that kind of works both ways. Like when I want to hide, I don't always answer emails immediately either.
Were you able to gather information, or do you want to listen again? Can we check answers? And this one is just identifying how many people work from home. So were you able to listen to the to get the answers? Hello, anybody? No? Are you there?
No, teacher, I didn't know because the question says which which people, and I don't know what we have to do to put the name of the people, but
Yeah,
in the
just
audio we didn't have the names of the people.
yeah, you're right. So the only thing that you have to do is, for example, number one, just check yes or no if they work from home. 2, so yes or no. 3, you don't have to write the name of the people because from the audio, just one person says their names. So just write 1, a check, or an X, a check if they work from home, or an X if they don't work from home. And that's how you're going to identify it. Since you have from 1 to 5, just let's do that, okay? Write a check if they work from home, or an X if they go to the office, okay? So let's listen again, and then we are going to be discussing the audios.
Audio 1.3. 1.
Hi, I'm Danny. I work in a nursing home. I'm a nurse here and take care of the residents. I prefer working in the day, but sometimes I have to work at nights. And then I go home to sleep all day. That just makes me feel so tired. But it's not a bad job, though. I mean, my colleagues are real fun to work with. Yeah, they're crazy. Like me, I guess.
2.
When my son got married at last, and he finally didn't need his bedroom anymore, I moved my desk and computer in there. And now it's great, and that is where I work. And it saves money, too, because now I don't need to pay for office space in the city. Yippee! The problem is that now I have all his comics in a box, and they take up a lot of space. A lot. I ask and ask, but he just won't let me put them in the garbage. Children.
3.
Yeah, it's true that I don't have to commute anymore, thankfully, and am free to choose when I work, during the day or at night, and whenever I want to. And that's great, but it's also part of the problem. You see, I have a 3-year-old, and he is just so cute. Love him. But what a distraction. But I don't like sending him to his grandmother all the time. But then, if I don't, I can't work. It's like almost the same as when I worked in an office. I think you call it the circle of life or something.
4.
When I come home, I just want to relax. Some of my friends work from home and they have almost no free time. They live in their offices, so they are always at work. You know, I just feel...
5. It's great. I don't have the distractions of the office. You know, no more long, boring meetings or the gossip at the coffee machine, all that yak, yak, yak. So I'm more productive now. Sometimes it is difficult to communicate, like when I send an email and nobody replies for days, but that kind of works both ways. Like when I want to hide, I don't always answer emails immediately either.
Okay, were you able to identify this time? How many people work from home? For example, number 1, did he work from home or went to the office? What were you able to listen to?
It's not his home and it's not an office, it's an island.
Perfect. Excellent listening skills. Yeah, he's not working from home. What about number 2? Working from home or not?
Yes.
Yes, excellent.
Yes.
Perfect. And what about number 3? Working from home or not?
Yes.
Yes.
Working from home as well. What about number 4?
Yes.
Yes.
Work. Oh no, sorry. 4 is not working from home, right?
No.
No, right? She's talking about her friends and how her friends work from home, but she doesn't like it because for her it's like never leaving work, right? You cannot separate the work style of living from going and resting. Okay, and number 5, working from home, yes or no?
Yes.
No.
And yes, right, she's,
Yes.
well, it's working from home. Okay, so now guys, let's move on to the last exercise that we are going to have for today in terms of from the book. Then we have another activity that I'm going to share with you, but I want us to go to exercise 3. In there you have a paragraph, right? And there are missing words in that, you have 4 paragraphs to be exact in that particular exercise. But I want us to focus on the first one. On the first paragraph that you have there are 4 words missing. And on the left side of the screen, you can see there's a screen that says offer 200. And at the top of that particular picture or image, you have 4 verbs that describe a sense. You have the first one, which is looked at. The second one, that is see. The third one is touch. And the fourth is watch. So those 4 verbs are the ones missing from the first paragraph. So what I want you to do is, or what we are going to do together, is complete that paragraph with the 4 verbs. Which one do you think completes or starts the paragraph?
Look at.
Excellent. Look at this awesome offer. This new, which verb do you think completes
Touch.
touch? Perfect. The new touch screen tablet for only 200. You can
Watch.
watch movies and play games when you travel, so it's great to have in the car. Come and
See.
see, excellent, these and the other great prices at Tony's Technology Store. Tony's Tech Store, fantastic new tablets and more. So as you can see, sensory verbs, they are used constantly. Most of the times when you're describing, remember, some type of feeling, some type of emotion, a personal preference, or you're talking about similarities, most likely you're going to have a sensory verb. Now, the rest of the exercise we're going to leave for later. I want, right now, we are going to be moving on to the next activity and the last activity in which we are going to practice this. I'm going to share with you, give me just a second. And this is how we are going to wrap up this class with this exercise. We are going to, hopefully you're going to be able to see my screen in a second. Can you see my screen? No, not right now.
No.
Okay, can you just, sorry, I don't know why I cannot. I'm trying to give me just. Okay. So hopefully, this is the, as I said, how we are going to wrap up this topic. I don't know, can you see my screen now? Okay, so in here, there's a multiple choice option, and I want you to, you choose which is the correct for each of the sentences. We have number 1, the cake when my mother got in and asked me if it good. So the choices that you have for the first sentence was tasting or tasted, sorry. Which one will you choose? In here, you have to pay attention also to the context of the sentence. So which one do you think it is the best answer?
Was tasting?
Was tasting.
Excellent. Very good. What about the second, the cake when
Tasted.
my
Taste.
excellent. Very good, guys. What about, we are not going to do them all. We are only going to do 3. So we have number 2, I very well, and I'm so called that I my toes. So your choices are I'm not feeling or I can't feel.
I'm not
Not
feeling.
Perfect, guys. Excellent. And the second set of the sentence is either you have to choose I'm not feeling or I can feel.
And feel.
I can't feel.
Perfect. Excellent. And then we have number 3. You have sorry, there's a lot of noise. I not hearing you very well, or I can hear you very well, which remember, this is something that was on the book as well, that one, if you use one or the other, it's because either you're not willing to listen or you don't want to listen. There's a difference. So go ahead and tell me which one will you choose.
I can hear you very well.
Good. And then we have the other choices. Can you hear me or are you hearing me?
Can you hear me?
Okay, and yes, guys, you are correct. And I wanted to go into this particular exercise because in here you can see that the sensory verb or the sense verb, they can be used in either in all of the tenses or in either tense, right? So you can use them in present, past, or future. The only thing that you have to do is to pay attention to the context and to the grammatical structure. But since you're describing something, remember either a personal preference, a feeling, or an emotion, or you're making a comparison talking about similarities, that can be done in any tense. And as I said, just you have to pay attention to the context that you're working on. I don't know if there are any questions or any doubts, something that you might want to ask.
Teacher, I have a question.
Go ahead.
What is the difference entre look and see?
Look and see. Most of the times when you use the verb look, it's because you're searching for something. Like let's talk about, for example, you have lost your cell phone inside your house or inside your bedroom. So the verb that you're going to use is I'm looking for. It's because you're searching and you want to find it, right? See it with your own hands. And then see, it's more into you're paying close attention to something. For example, a phrase that is used very commonly in English is, I can see that you're working, right? So when we use the verb see, it's because we are paying close attention to something, to the details, for example. I don't know if I explain myself better, or that's kind of like for example, another one that is confusing as well is watch. Watch is your look, or you're seeing or looking through a window or to a screen. For example, you say, I'm watching the show, I'm watching the game. So there's a screen involved, right? See could be up close, like you're close to the action, or you're close to what is happening, or to the situation that you're witnessing. And then look, it's more for searching. I don't know if now I clear your doubt.
Yes, teacher, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question or any other doubt? Go ahead and ask. Don't be afraid. No? Okay. So remember to practice as much as this as you can, sensory verbs. Remember that English is about practicing, and it's okay to make mistakes. That's how you learn. And if you need any more practice, or if you have any more questions, we can do that in the next class. But for now, I want to thank everyone for participating, and we will see each other in the next class. I hope you have an amazing day today, that everything goes well and goes as you plan it. Take care of yourselves and your families. See you next class, everyone.
Bye,
Bye.
teacher.
Bye.
Thanks, teacher. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye, teacher. Take
Bye,
care.
teacher.
Bye. Take care, everyone.